Okay, thank you guys for coming. I'm Robin O'Haron, and this is Blues and the Harlem Renaissance. I want to thank the Lee Library and the Lee Cultural Council for making this presentation possible. It's going to be really fun. And I'm going to start with a song. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. The man I love, I crave to see. He's gone up country, won't write to me. He better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. When a woman's in trouble, everyone throws her down. Hold on. Looking for a good friend, none can be found. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining. Hear that wind? You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. I know he's gone, he won't come back. He took my last nickel out of my nation's sack. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. Thank you. So I should say, I have a lot of wonderful songs I'm going to be doing in this program, and they're shortened versions, because the only way I could make this an hour-long program was by doing little shortened versions of the songs. So
get it to work.
So welcome you guys who came in late. Feel free to turn your video on. I am videoing this, and again, I want to thank the Lee Library and the Lee Cultural Council for the opportunity to help me do this presentation. It wouldn't have happened without them. So we are going to talk about the blues and the poetry of the Harlem Renaissance. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start. I'm going to go back and forth. So this presentation is about the blues and the poetry of the Harlem Renaissance, featuring the poetry of Langston Hughes. So the Harlem Renaissance was an intellectual, social, and artistic explosion that took place in Harlem, New York from about 1918 to 1937. It was a blossoming of African American culture, especially in the creative arts, which included literature, music, dance, theater, film, and fine art. and it was the most influential movement in African American literary history. So the performing arts were integral part of the Harlem Renaissance. The blues permeated the poetry, and if you are making noises, please mute yourself, okay, for during this part of the presentation. So the blues permeated the poetry and the art of this period. The blues was already been playing in juke joints all across the South, and it was reaching a broader audience through vaudeville. It preceded and overlapped the time of the Harlem Renaissance. So, for example, in 1923, Bessie Smith recorded her debut record, Downhearted Blues, for Columbia Records, and it sold 800,000 copies.
Wow.
How crazy is that? And she was, at that time, she was really doing well, and she was making like $100 a night, which is about what I make now. Some things never change. What can I say? So, so I am gonna play a piece of another Bessie Smith song, and I have two guitars with me tonight. This is a custom fingerstyle guitar that a fan built for me, and this is a National Steel Radiotone Bend-Away Resonator guitar. So, whoa, and I just nearly knocked everything. Okay, so this is Weeping Willow Blues.
Barely hear it.
I did that wrong. Okay, here we go. I went down to the river, sat beneath that willow tree. The dewdrops from those willow leaves, oh, let them roll right over me. And that's the reason I got the weeping willow blues. Climbed up on a mountain, high as every gal could be. Whoever's making that noise, please stop. Mute yourself. Look down on that engine that took my loving man from me. And that's the reason
Great answer.
got the weeping willow blues.
I did get your you hung up on me.
That whistle blowing, my money rung that bell, taking away that engine that give me this sweeping spell. And that's the reason got the weeping willow blues. Well, if you're broken hearted and your man is out of town, just go down to the river, take a chair and then sit down. And if he don't come back to you, I'll tell you what to do. Forget about that boy because he ain't no more to you. 'Course I love my man, I kiss him morning, noon, and night. I stayed with him through thick and thin, I tried to treat him right. But now he's gone and left me after all I tried to do. The way he treats me, gals, he'll do the same to you. And that's the reason got the weeping willow blues. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, so, um, all right, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. And we're going to talk about the movers and shakers of the Harlem Renaissance. So, W.E.B. Dubois, born February 23rd, 1868, in Great Barrington, 2 towns over. He was one of the most important African American activists during the first half of the 20th century. He co founded the NAACP and he supported Pan Africanism. And then Langston Hughes, who we're going to talk more about, was an African American poet, novelist, playwright, and his African American themes made him a primary contributor to the Harlem Renaissance. Aaron Douglas was the most celebrated Harlem Renaissance artist, and he's often called the father of Black American art. He adapted African techniques to create paintings and murals as well as book illustrations. And I should say you can see that there's links on this slide presentation, and if anyone's interested, if you put your email in the chat, I will send you the actual presentation and you can explore it further if you want to. Paul Robeson, the cultural boom in Harlem gave Black actors opportunities for stage work that they didn't have previously, because before they were always given stereotypical roles or, minstrel shows. They didn't get to do serious drama, but there was like a stage revolution that Paul Robeson was the center of, and it started opening more doors for Black actors. He was an actor, singer, writer, activist, and more. He was an amazing guy. Louis Armstrong, the father of the backbeat. So the music that percolated in and boomed out of Harlem was mostly jazz and blues, but mostly jazz. And it was played at speakeasies, and it became a great draw not only for Harlem Renaissance residents, but also for white audiences. And some of the famous people that performed in Harlem were Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Bessie Smith, Fats Waller, Cab Calloway. They often had elaborate floor shows. And, the backbeat to me is like sitting in a rocking chair and seeing how far back you can go. I mean, without the backbeat, there wouldn't be blues, there wouldn't be jazz, there wouldn't be all the music that followed. It's so an example. So if you did Mary Had a Little Lamb, as Western culture would, it would go, Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, right? But if you did it on the backbeat, it would go, Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. So that's the backbeat. Okay, tap dancers were, that was a really popular genre of dance at that time. I have been in a duo with a tap dancer called Tap and Blues, and we haven't gotten to do much since the pandemic started, but hopefully we'll be able to pick it up again. But John Bubbles and Bill Bojangles Robinson are two of the well-known tap dancers from that time. Bill Robinson was a dancer, an actor, film actor. He was an iconic African-American tap dancer, best known for his Broadway performances and film roles. And so in the 60s, in the late 60s, Jerry Jeff Walker wrote a song called Mr. Bojangles. And I don't know, I don't know how much of it is true. But it's just this wonderful song, and this is not blues, but it's like a piece of history. So I'm just going to play you a little bit of this song. Bojangles and he danced for you. In worn out shoes, silver hair, a ragged shirt and baggy pants. The old soft shoe jumped so high, jumped so high. Then it lightly touched down. He danced for those at minstrel shows and county fairs. Across the South, he spoke with tears of 15 years, how his dog and him traveled around. His dog up and died, up and died. After 20 years, he's still grieved. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance.
That's definitely a shortened version of that song.
Well, that's a really long song. Yeah, I know. I kept cutting verses and cutting verses. But, you know, we have a lot of ground to cover. So, before we discuss blues in the Harlem Renaissance, I mean, I know a lot of you guys are very blues literate, but not everybody is. And so we're going to talk about what is the blues. Okay, and I notice there's some stuff in the chat. Oh, is the volume okay? I didn't realize there was an issue with it.
It sounds like Rick's having trouble. A lot of us are hearing you just fine, Robin.
Okay.
Hard for me.
All right. So I'm going back to the presentation. We're going to talk about what is the blues. And so Son House, who was a famous Delta bluesman and a preacher, said, "The blues ain't nothing but a good man feeling bad." And the blues genre, blues refers to the term blue devils, which means melancholy and sadness, and it was first used in 1798 in a one-act farce called Blue Devils. The use of the phrase might be older in African American music, but it was first attested to in 1912 when Hart Wan's Dallas Blues was the first copyrighted blues song. And in lyrics, it usually describes a depressed mood, but, you know, there's happy blues, there's silly blues, there's... I wrote a blues song once for my son called Jesse's Junk Food Blues. I got tired of his food choices. So the blues genre has very specific structures, and there's a lot of times, like in 12-bar blues, a line will repeat, and then there'll be a third line that rhymes with it, and then, you know, and then a fourth line could repeat the first line again or somehow tie it together. There's a lot of subgenres of the blues. There's urban blues, country blues, Chicago blues, Delta blues, Piedmont blues, jump blues, ragtime blues. And and this presentation, we are going to talk about. First I want to go one more slide. So, we're going to talk about Delta and Piedmont blues because that's what I specialize in. But so blues is all about telling the truth. I love that because I'm a terrible liar. But so Reverend Gary Davis, who is a Piedmont, I think the greatest Piedmont blues and ragtime player, said, "Tell the truth." And this is a wonderful quote from Son House. He said, "People keep asking me where the blues got started, and all I can say is that when I was a boy, I was always singing in the fields. Not really singing, but hollering, making up songs about things that happened to us at the time. And that's how the blues got started." So I'm just going to give you a little sample a really little sample. So Piedmont blues, as Beth knows, has an alternating bass line and a melody line. This is the hammer that killed John Henry. Won't kill me. Won't kill me, won't kill me. So that's Piedmont blues. Delta blues became really popular with solo guitar players in the South. They'd use a broken bottleneck or a knife or a piece of steel. You know, this is modern age, and I have a hand-blown custom bottleneck. My first one I actually did make out of a beer bottle, but that was scary. But it added another voice. And the other thing about bottlenecks, so, you know, in churches they thought that blues was the devil's music. But if you played it with a bottleneck, your fingers weren't touching the strings, and so it was okay. So the Delta region of the Mississippi, they were playing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so now this is the silly part. Fundamental facts about the blues. So a good way to start a blues song is woke up this morning. Of course, you know, if you got the blues, then you're fixing to die. But if you woke up, it's a good morning. You never start a blues song with "I got a good woman," unless you're going to say, "and she gave me turpentine to drink," right? Or "she's the nastiest woman in town." If you're stuck in a ditch, you're stuck in a ditch. There's no way out. And blues don't travel in BMWs, Volvos, or sports utility vehicles. They travel in Chevys, Fords, Cadillacs, and broken down trucks. Most blues transportation is either a Greyhound bus or a southbound train, and never an airplane. Never an airplane. Teens can't usually sing the blues because they're hopefully not fixing to die yet. Adults can sing the blues, and you're an adult if you shot a man in Memphis, and you're going to get the electric chair. And my screen is frozen. There we go.
Don't shake it.
So,
Just listen.
Did I
If
hit
if
that?
you're there and you're talking, please mute yourself. There's a lot of people here now, and I can't see everybody.
Stop, Stu. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me is you and that. Go listen.
Okay, I think I muted everyone that needed
It's
to be.
Zoe. Zoe needs to mute. Stuart and Zoe need to mute.
Okay, got it. So I'm having an issue with the slide presentation. I'm going to try one more time.
There it is.
There we go. Blues and gospel music. So blues and gospel are like flip sides of the same coin. And gospel was the sacred counterpoint of blues and jazz. Thomas A. Dorsey, not the band leader, is the father of gospel music. And he was a honky-tonk piano player called Georgia Tom. And he had this encounter experience with God, and it changed his life. And he said, why should the devil have all the good music? And he invented gospel music. He created gospel music academies all over the country, and he wrote incredible gospel songs. He taught churches how to incorporate it into their worship. In fact, they called the songs Dorsey's. He wrote Precious Lord, which was Martin Luther King Jr.'s favorite song, and Congress had declared it the gospel song of the century in the 20th century. So there's a wonderful story that goes with that, which I don't have time to tell you tonight. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do a shortened version. You know, all these songs are shortened versions. But I'm going to do a shortened version of Banks of the River, a Reverend Gary Davis tune. So, and I keep forgetting to go back. I'm gonna run through the streets of the city where my Lord has come before. I'm gonna sit down by the banks of the river, and no, I won't be back no more. We're gonna have a good time when we get there. I'm gonna sit down by my Savior's side. I'm gonna sit down by the banks of the river, and no, I won't be back no more. I'll be where I've got peace forever, and I won't be crying no more. I'm gonna sit down by the banks of the river.
That one.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, thank you. Okay, we're going to talk about how blues songs and poetry they both use poetic techniques. And I'm going to share my screen again. So these are some of the poetic techniques that are used in blues and poetry. Alliteration, the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words, like she sells seashells by the seashore. Imagery, which is visually descriptive or figurative language used in literary works and in blues. Metaphors. A metaphor states one thing is another, but not literally true. Similes are a lot like metaphors. They use like or as. So a simile could be the clouds were a metaphor would be the clouds were angry gods, whereas a simile would be the clouds were angry like angry gods. Something like that. Personification, where you give human characteristics to inanimate or non-human things. Sun gone down, boys, dark, don't catch me here. That's personification. We talked about simile. Paradox is a statement or a proposition that seems like it has sound reasoning, but it leads to a logically unacceptable or self-contradictory conclusion. Like, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. Rhyme, which is especially used at the ends of lines of poetry or song lyrics. Here's, I had religion this day. This is a Sunhouse line. I had religion this day, but the whiskey and women would not let me pray. And that also has personification in it. Repetition is really important, both in poetry and blues. And it also drives home a point. Repetition, makes something, gives it more weight. So hyperbole, exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. And here's examples of poetic techniques. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. They got me accused of forgery and I can't even write my name. That's paradox. Let's see. I hear the delta calling by the light of a distant star. Personification. So these are all examples of poetic techniques that are used. And I'm gonna play so in terms of the blues is about telling the truth and life experiences. This is a Memphis Mini tune, and it's she was like the queen of the blues. She was exactly like the queen of the blues. Not a simile. This is called Too Late. I gave you my bed, made you a pallet on my floor, and still you try to give me a heart of gold. You're too late to weep and moan. You're too late to weep and moan. Well, you can tell your friends, maybe never let you go. When you had me, babe, you didn't treat me right. All you wanna do, Lord, is fuss and fight. You're too late to weep and moan. You're too late to weep and moan. Well, you can tell your friends, baby was here, now she's gone.
Love that one. I love that.
It's a really good song. There's more to it too. So if you ever get to hear me in concert, I promise I'll do the whole song. So,
Right.
all right. So, I'm going to talk now about the blues in Langston Hughes. Oh gosh, my cat wants to climb on the computer. Okay. She likes to sing with me. He likes to sing with me. So, Langston Hughes' family struggled out of poverty, and he appreciated and identified with poor blacks who are working hard to overcome their circumstances. He loved African American music, and during this time in the 20s, there were a lot of people called song catchers who would go through the South, and they would collect songs and shouts, and the Smithsonian is filled with those things. They would be lost forever if these people hadn't collected them. So in 1927, he traveled south with an author friend, Zora Neale Hurston, and she was collecting and recording songs and folklore, and that's when he really saw the connection between the written and spoken word. And in his poetry, he tried to capture the collective pain that African Americans were struggling with. And I'm gonna stop the share, and I'm gonna do a song. This is by Fred McDowell. So a lot of these blues guys, they also played gospel music, the flip side, and except that they'd change their name. Like they'd release a blues album and then they'd release a gospel album with the same picture, but a different name, because they figured, church people never look at blues stuff, so it worked for them, I guess. So this is a Fred McDowell tune called Write Me a Few of Your Lines. Wrong guitar. Sorry. This is what happens when I... Yeah, wrong guitar. Okay. So, definitely, it's hard to play slide guitar on a guitar that's set up for fingerstyle. The action's too low. Consolation for my worried mind. I'm not done. I just gotta let Valerie back in. Lord, I left my baby sitting on the back porch crying. Said I left my baby sitting on the back porch crying. Never felt so sorry, nor till they said goodbye. wash my trouble down.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Hughes' work honors blues singers, their venues, instruments, addresses the suffering of African Americans, and incorporates it into the rhythm and music of the blues into his poetry. And pre-World War II blues songs capture that pain as well. They're musical and rhythmic stories about specific events. They're local, they're personal. The subject matter includes hard times, lost love, oppression, alienation, the search for identity. So I'm gonna. I have four excerpts of poems by Langston Hughes, and if you'd like to be a reader, raise your hand or put it in the chat because I can't see everybody that's here, and I will put it up on the screen. But first, I'm going to play a little bit of. This is a Sleepy John Estes tune called. Well, this is a short song. I might actually do the whole thing. It's called "Leaving Trunk," and I think it's a "Leaving Trunk," and then we're going to read Blues Fantasy. Leaving, because they'd pack their leaving trunk to get on the train, the southbound train. So just might, you got to keep it real, but just don't let my good gal catch me here. He said, just don't let my good gal catch me here. I went upstairs to pack my leaving trunk. I didn't need no whiskey, cause the blues made me sloppy drunk. Don't need no whiskey, blues made me sloppy drunk. I didn't need no whiskey, blues made me sloppy drunk. Some say it's green and some say it's clean. It's a slow consumption, killing you by degrees. It's a slow consumption, killing you by degrees. It's a slow consumption, killing you by degrees. So, let me share my screen. So, would anyone like to be a reader? Okay, hold on. Let me find where the poems. Here they are. So, actually, I wanted to do this one. Anybody want to read Blues Fantasy? I can't see the chat right now, so would you like to do it, Beth?
I'll try.
Okay, give it a shot. I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll move it as you go.
You're gonna do the whole thing, huh? Okay.
It's
All
short.
right. Okay. Oh, it goes to there. Okay.
Well, it goes to there.
Okay. All right, here I go. Hey, hey, that's what the blues singers say. Singing singing minor melodies. They laugh, hey, hey. My man's done left me. child, he's gone away. My good man's left me, babe, he's gone away. Now the crying blues haunts me night and day. Hey, hey, weary, weary, trouble, pain. The sun's gonna shine somewhere again. I got a railroad ticket, pack my trunk and ride. Sing 'em, sister. Um, got a railroad ticket, pack my trunk and ride. And when I get on the train, I'll cast my blues aside, laughing, hey, hey, laugh aloud, hey, hey, Harlem night cloud, dance today, club, dance today.
Good job, Beth. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. It was fun.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to play a song called I Can't Be Satisfied by Muddy Waters. And then I'm going to ask someone if they'd like to read Weary Blues. So... won't be back no more. Going back down south. Do you wanna go? 'Cause I'm in trouble. I've been worried all in my mind. And I just can't be satisfied. I just can't keep from crying. Well, I hear when I sleep and I hear that whistle blow. Looking for my baby. Where did you go, Lord of trouble? Worried all in my mind. And I just can't be satisfied. And I can't keep from crying. Yeah, thank you. Little taste of the blues. I should call this a little taste of the blues. So, would anyone like to read Weary Blues? Or, Tiger, you can't. Tiger would like to. Anybody going
I'll
what?
give it a try, Robin. Mike.
Oh, okay. I can't see you, Mike. Let me see if I can. There you are. Okay. I'll move the page for you. It's not that long. It just won't all fit here.
So,
It's this one. Go ahead.
the Weary Blues? Is that right? The Weary Blues?
Yes. Yes.
Let me see if I can get the meter here. Droning a drowsy, syncopated tune, walking back and forth to a mellow croon, I heard a Negro play. Down on Lenox Avenue the other night, by the pale, dull pallor of an old gas light, he did a lazy sway. He did a lazy sway. To the tune of Weary Blues, with his ebony hands on each ivory key, he made the poor piano moan with melody. Oh, blues! Swaying to and fro on his rickety stool, he played that raggy tune like a musical fool. Sweet blues, coming from a black man's soul. Oh, blues! In a deep song voice with a melancholy tone, I heard that Negro sing, that old piano moan. Ain't got nobody in this world, ain't got nobody but myself. I was going to quit my frowning and put my troubles on the shelf. Thump, 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 thump were his foot on the floor. He played a few chords, then he sang some more. I got the weary blues and I can't be satisfied. Got the weary blues and I can't be satisfied. I ain't happy no more and I wish that I had died. As far into the night, he crooned that tune. Sorry, having a little trouble singing.
You're doing
As
good.
far into the night, he crooned that tune. The stars went out, and so did the moon. The singer stopped playing and went to bed, while the weary blues echoed through his head. He slept like a rock or a man that's dead.
That's good.
Thank you, Mike. Good job. Good job.
Thanks.
So you can see, like, I Can't Be Satisfied and Weary Blues, how much they have in common, right? I mean, they totally are together. Yeah, you are loud. My cat wants to read the blues. So I'm gonna play. I have to retune, different tuning. I'm gonna play Trouble in Mind, which I think is one of my favorite blues tunes. And then, if we have time, we have one more poem we can read, Po' Boy Blues. And then I have one more piece of a song. So try to make it fast. I want to leave a little time for questions. Trouble in mind, Lord, I won't be blue always. You know that sun's gonna shine on my back door someday. I'm going down to the river, Lord, I'm gonna bring my own rocking chair. And if them blues don't let me alone, Lord, I'm gonna rock on, darling, out of there. Trouble, Lord, I got trouble, but that sun's gonna shine on my back door. I said that sun's gonna shine on my back door. You know that sun's gonna shine on my back door someday.
Oh yeah. Nice, Ron.
Thank you. So, we're nearing the end here. Would anyone like to read Po' Boy Blues? Be brave. I will, if no one else wants to.
Put it up on the screen.
Let me put it up so you can see it.
Yeah.
It's
Go
this
for it,
one
Joe.
right here. This one on the left. When I was home, the sunshine seemed like gold. Do I have any takers?
Go for it, Joe.
Go for it.
Joe? Go ahead. I can't make it bigger.
And I just have to look close. Ugh.
No? Joe, are you going to do it? Can you hear me? Can he hear me? Huh. All right, I'm going to read it. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Po' Boy Blues by Langston Hughes. When I was home, the sunshine seemed like gold. When I was home, the sunshine seemed like gold. Since I come up north, the whole damn world's turned cold. That's so true. I was a good boy, never done no wrong. Yes, I was a good boy, never done no wrong. But this world is weary and the road is hard and long. I fell in love with a gal I thought was kind. Fell in love with a gal I thought was kind. She made me lose my money and almost lose my mind. Weary, weary, weary early in the morn. Weary, weary early in the morn. I'm so weary, I wish I'd never been born. All right, I'm going to close with, this is a Skip James tune. So Skip James actually did move up north from the south and hated it. Totally hated it. He wrote all his songs in the minor tuning of D minor. Even he wrote one happy song. He wrote, I'm So Glad Cream covered it. It was still in D minor. So this is Cypress Grove. Buried in some cypress grove. You know I'd rather be buried in some cypress grove than to live in the city with a man I can't control. If your knee bone's aching, your body's getting cold. If your knee bone is aching, your body's getting cold. You know you're just getting ready for that cypress grove. Muddy water, sleep in a hollow log. I'd rather drink muddy water, sleep in a hollow log, than to live in the city and be treated like a dog.
Great one.
Thank you. So that is the blues and the poetry of Langston Hughes. There are a couple of minutes left if anyone has a question that they'd like to ask about anything. The weather, my guitars, why my cat likes to sing. If you have a question, please feel free. Now is the time.
Just a quick one, Robin. Did you say Skip James wrote I'm So Glad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they might have given him credit for it. I'm not sure. I mean, that was a time where most people didn't. The Rolling Stones credited all the old blues guys they used, but a lot of musicians didn't. And then there were folk singers like Peter, Paul, and Mary covered songs by Reverend Gary Davis. In fact, he bought this wonderful house on Long Island. They Long Island. They called it the house that Peter, Paul, and Mary built because it was, what was it, 12 gates to the city? The lawyers called him in. They told the lawyers that they wanted him to get the rights because he wrote the song. So they called him in to their office. They said, "Did you write this song?" He said, "No." And the lawyers were like, "Yes." And then he went, "It just came to me."
I love it.
So, but yeah, Skip James, Cypress Grove. It's kind of the story of his life.
Oh.
Yeah. Anybody else have a quick question they'd like to ask? Going once, going twice. Well, I'm so grateful that you guys took time out of your busy schedules to hang with me for this hour, and I hope you enjoyed it. I want to again thank the Cultural Council. Did you like it?
Very nice.
That was
Thank
great.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very
And-
much. It was great.
Thank you, and it's being recorded, and it will be on CTSB locally, and I just want to thank you and thank the Cultural Council and the Lee Library again, and thank you all so much for being here. Have a great rest of the evening. Be well.
You too.
Thank you,
You
Rob.
too.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thanks
much.
so much.